Your life journey doesn't stand still, and neither should your wealth. Welcome to Wealth on the Move, the podcast. And welcome back to Wealth on the Move, the podcast. I'm Will Hoffman, founder and president of Hoffman Wealth Management, and your host for Wealth on the Move.
And my name is Brynn Tarbuck, and I am your co-host.
Today we have kind of a fun topic, interesting topic. I know that we're not supposed to use acronyms because it can be confusing, especially in explaining very confusing information like we do every day. But today we're going to talk about wealth management strategies for Henrys. Brynn, who's your favorite Henry? Who's the most famous Henry that you think of when I say the name Henry?
You know, you had to tell me all of the Henrys. Or you mean an actual Henry?
Like an actual Henry, like a
actual
famous Henry.
You know,
I mean,
I don't know.
Like there's got to be one that comes to mind.
Is there one that should be coming to mind?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been out of history. I don't know. Help me out.
But it hasn't been a while since you've been out of his greatest invention.
Right.
Henry Ford.
Right. Henry Ford,
Right?
the T model.
Model A, Model T.
Model T, model, yes. Okay.
I always think of Henry VIII, you know.
Oh, yeah.
This?
Okay.
He was the King of England. Famous song published in 1965 by Herman's Hermits. Right? Am I right about that? Herman's Hermits? Yeah, Herman's Hermits. I'm Henry VIII, I am.
You know more Henrys than I do.
He married the widow next door, and she'd been married 7 times before. Every time was a Henry. That's why he was Henry VIII. But actually, King Henry VIII, who did have 6 marriages. But Henry Winkler, the Fonzie, hey. No, nothing. Henry David Thoreau, famous writer.
I'm going to have to do some research after. I'm going to have to do some research. But bottom line, we're not even actually talking about real Henrys.
We're not talking about real Henrys, no.
Why don't you tell everyone what Henry actually means?
What Henry means is a high earner, not rich yet. It is an acronym for folks that are earning money, high income, but have not yet achieved that financially independent lifestyle that they would like.
Which I needed explained a little bit more to me because I didn't understand either. I said, well, if they're high earning, shouldn't they already be financially independent?
When you think about a high earner, it's folks they have a high income, but they're young, I guess is the best way to say that. They're in their 20s to 40s, making good income, typically $100,000 or more, but they're not yet financially independent. So they don't have that ability to walk into their boss's office and say, take this job and shove it. They don't have that, and maybe they haven't had that big payday. They've started a company, started a business, but it hasn't, been purchased, or they haven't sold it, or the product hasn't taken off, and they're earning good income. So they have some good income. They have some wealth management things in the forefront that are a challenge, but their biggest challenge and their biggest opportunity comes later. So that's what Henry stands for. Some common challenges for Henrys, because of their age, they're still dealing with student debt and college loans. One thing that we spent a lot of time talking about in a couple previous episodes are lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep, and then obviously the delayed wealth accumulation. They know that big payout, that big moment, that big time is coming for financial independence, but it's delayed. What we're going to talk about is some strategies to help folks that are maybe transitioning in this time from high income to wealth building, and some things to do now to start preparing yourselves there.
And when you say financially independent, you don't necessarily mean able to live on your own, pay your bills, get your groceries. You're more meaning, I can be set and not necessarily have to worry about my finances.
You have a work optional lifestyle.
Okay.
You've moved from that, maybe that paycheck to paycheck mindset to a wealth building mindset where now you look at purchases differently, you look at business opportunities differently, you look at salaries and income differently than when you are earning a paycheck, and making sure that, listen, I've got to feed my family, I've got to keep a roof over our head, but now it's a lot different mindset. So talk about some early pitfalls. We did 2 great episodes about money dysmorphia and lifestyle creep specifically, and as your income goes up and you upgrade homes, cars, vacations look a little different as your income grows. You have to be careful there, like we discussed in those episodes, about how that hinders long-term wealth. Because all of a sudden you get to a point where you say, well, I really haven't increased my savings. Yeah, my things are nicer. My car's nicer. The house has gotten bigger and nicer, but I'm still not financially independent. I haven't made sure my wealth was moving with me. The only thing that was moving with me was my things or my stuff.
All the shiny things.
Right. Another thing is you become overly reliant on your income, and you don't diversify some things, whether it's investments or income streams. And there's a phrase that I philosophically, and I understand, and I know what passive income is. I understand it. That's not lost on me. But there's two phrases we're going to use in this conversation. One is side hustle, and the other is passive income. Passive income is nice. It's income that comes in without needing you to do much effort, whether it's real estate or dividends from stocks or interest from fixed income assets. But none of it's passive. You still have to pay attention to it. You still have to be mindful of it. You don't have to maybe go out and toil every day to earn this income. But, don't let passive mean unacknowledged or unmaintained or something. I don't view real estate as passive income. You in real estate, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have to maintain the properties. You have to be mindful of your insurance. You have to be cognizant of the folks that are renting from you. And when they leave, you have to get the place ready to rent again. I know that once they're in there, it's nice to have those rent checks coming in, but the clients that we have and the friends that I have that own real estate, they work hard at it. That toilet starts to leak at 2 a.m. and your phone's ringing. There's nothing passive about me needing to go change a toilet ring at 2 a.m. because the toilet's leaking.
Absolutely not.
So my dad had real estate when I was a kid, and it may have been passive for him because my brother and I were painting and mowing grass and taking care of some things. So for him, it may have been passive. It was anything but for me when I was a kid. So I don't view real estate as passive. Dividends and from stocks can be passive, but you still have to be paying attention to what you own and why you own it.
Yeah.
So passive doesn't mean effortless by any means. It just means that it's not the primary income from you getting your paycheck from month to month. We're going to talk about side hustles here in a bit. It is important to create multiple streams of income, multiple methods to earn and gain and grow wealth, because listen, cycles happen. Different things are doing well at different times all of the time. And you want to make sure that your income is protected there. The other pitfall, and we just did an episode about this too, is ignoring tax optimization. And what I mean by that is we worry about our taxes as a history book of what financial transactions we did last year, rather than how do I make sure I'm paying the least amount of taxes possible over the course of my life. And if there is a product that's going to be sold or a business that's going to be sold that yields a one-time big high payday for you, paying attention to tax optimization as you go is very, very important. Thinking about, I'm eventually going to be wealthy. How do I optimize my life for taxes now is very, very important. Doing that strategic planning, having the right advisors in place is vital to making sure that advances properly.
That can be painful if you're a high incomer and you're not having a tax plan ahead of time, and then it comes time for that big paycheck to come in, and yep.
Yeah, and Uncle Sam is the one who's relishing in your basking in your
oh, he'll be happy, yeah.
Yeah, it was some key wealth management strategies. It's cold here. I'm still,
it is bitter here.
It's bitter
cold. We're talking single digit type cold.
Yeah, but the sun's out. I'll take cold with the sun out.
That's true.
Some key wealth management strategies to think about. And I can't remember if it was when I was a guest on Michelle's podcast or when she was on mine early on. we talked about budgeting. And I wish I would have found this mindset for budgeting, because we were talking about her being a rebel. And, I think we were talking a lot about Gen X and how rebellious Gen Xers are. And I'm not going to let my budget tell me what to do.
Right.
And there's a better way to look at budgeting. Budgeting is actually a way for you to tell your money where to go rather than worrying about where it has already gone. And I'm not sure if that's come from Dave Ramsey or Cody Sanchez or something where I found that, but budgeting is important. And if you're a Henry, budgeting like a millionaire is even more important. Thinking about that, gaining that control now, and allocating towards your savings first, towards yourself first. My favorite phrase in wealth management, and I learned it in my first job as a steel salesman right out of college, was PYF, or pay yourself first. Allocate for savings first, then your expenses. And there's a lot of strategies to think about. A common one is the 50-30-20, and 50% of your money goes towards your lifestyle, your needs. 30% goes to savings, and 20% goes to what you want to do, the vacations, the car, that if you wanted to upgrade, things that you want to do but aren't a necessity to your life. But keeping that discretionary spending in check is very, very important if you want to budget the way a millionaire and wealthy people budget. My favorite book is The Millionaire Next Door, and it talks about this at length. Something else to think about is investing early. Starting the second you get your first paycheck, investing early, whether it's in your retirement accounts, whether it's on your own, investing early and diversifying those investments, making sure that you have great allocations to stocks and bonds, to mutual funds and ETFs. If you want to use real estate, investing early is very, very important. The next thing to think about is debt management. We've all been there. We've all incurred debt. Hopefully you haven't. But if you're like the majority of Americans and the majority of listeners, you have incurred some debt. Paying off high interest debt first is important. Not getting into that high interest debt is even more important. That's things like credit card debt. Credit cards are punishing. Punishing. The interest rate's high.
Oh, yeah.
It's punishing. The fees are expensive. Just stay out of it, but get rid of it first, and then optimize low interest debt. And by that, I mean optimizing things like your mortgage, considering refinancing when rates get lower, using debt when rates are low. I know we're not really in an incredibly low interest rate environment in the short term right now, but really, historically speaking, we're at an average rate that is still pretty manageable. So making sure you're optimizing the opportunities when they arise when it comes to low interest debt and low interest financing is important.
And I think those first 3 bullet points can be difficult for if you're a Henry and you're also in your younger years, because you might see yourself a step ahead of everyone else.
Sure.
You're a high earner. So instead of, investing early or budgeting or paying off debt, you want to buy that new car or buy
Right.
that big house or whatnot. But it's important to have a plan for all this early so that
Yes.
you can have that big payday later in life.
And if you're listening to this now and you haven't done that early, do it now. Get it figured out now, because we say it all the time. When should I start planning? When should I start? Right now. Getting this thing in order right. There's no reason to hesitate. Thinking about tax efficient strategies, and by tax efficient, looking beyond this year, leveraging your HSAs, leveraging Roth IRAs, thinking about Roth conversions, leveraging 529 college savings plans, whether it's for yourself or for your children. There's some advantages there. Working with a CPA, a tax advisor, somebody that does tax planning together is important. I love working with my clients, tax advisors. I love it because they don't look at the world through the same lens we do. We don't look at the world through the same lens that they do. But when you have both of us looking at one client's financial picture, the client wins. And they get a very high quality tax efficient strategy and a communication strategy that makes sure that is happening. So making sure that you're doing that is imperative.
It's almost like when you guys come together, the lenses
Yeah.
match.
Right.
But when you're
The
separate,
lenses
it's
match.
yeah.
Although, if you are a Henry and you're just not rich yet, but you're going to be, maybe investing in a monocle is important, right? Like the Monopoly man, right?
Sure. Talk to someone first. Yeah, get a plan.
This may go without saying, but making sure you have a high quality emergency fund. 6 to 12 months worth of living expenses. Well, you don't have to sell investments to get to those funds if there is an emergency, because selling investments when you don't want to, you may be selling at a bad time in the market. You may be paying taxes that you don't necessarily want to. But making sure that you can have that emergency fund to avoid dip into your savings is something to think of as well. And then thinking beyond your salary, exploring things like side hustles. Now, I said I was going to mention that we should all be hustling
Every day.
every day. That's it. No, that's a important task, important mindset. So whether it's your primary job, whether it is your primary paycheck, whether it is a secondary source of income, I've never liked the phrase side hustles. Just hustle. But other opportunities to make some money, consulting gigs, on other business ventures. I love the time of the world that we are in, because it has never been, in my opinion, easier to make money. The opportunities have never been in front of us the way they are now when it comes to things like social media and video and the opportunity to monetize our own brands. There are folks that are able to monetize their brands by pressure washing. And they take the videos of themselves pressure washing, and they're teaching other people how to pressure wash, and they're monetizing their own brands on places like YouTube and Instagram. And I'm going to say TikTok. I don't know if TikTok is still legal, going to be legal. We're recording this on January 15th. 2025. So by the time this airs, maybe there is no more TikTok.
We just don't know. Yep.
YouTube, social media.
But you're right. It's been an avenue for so many people to
start a podcast, right? I mean, we're doing it right now. Start a podcast, monetize it. Folks, we were, you want to talk about a side hustle or someone that hustles. We were just at the hockey game as a team, and the woman that was our waitress at our seats is a therapist and has a podcast, and is
a waitress at the arena, for events. So she's
there's ways to earn beyond 9 to 5, 24/7, and working for someone else. We're seeing it every day. Yep. So you may think, you know what, I'm just a waiter. How am I going to be? I'm not really a Henry. I wish I knew the name of the channel. There's YouTube videos and Facebook stuff that I see of a guy that monetized his experience of being a waiter at a cafe and dealing with pain in the butt clients that we all watch because it's entertaining.
Right.
And he's monetizing that experience. Yep. The legacy media is on its heels right now because of exactly what we're doing right now with podcasting, with videos, with the ability to monetize our own experience and get people to watch that. Folks go to Disney World and monetize videoing their experience. Free vacation. And I'm sure it's not free. There's still a lot of work. It's not passive by any means. But the opportunity has never been greater to earn in abundance. And that's something to think about beyond salary. Is you can go out and do it right now. I have a friend who makes videos picking locks. And quite frankly, I find joy in watching sawmill videos. People that take a giant tree stump and turn it into something beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're monetizing that. And it's so relaxing for me to just
people that make pottery. I never thought I would sit there for so long and watch someone sculpt a pottery vase. Yeah. And that probably is even think of that. I mean, that could be their real job, and they're now making it a, quote unquote side hustle, all
Yes.
because they just put a camera up and they're now posting it on social media.
Yep.
So it doesn't even have to be, a grind that you might see as impossible. It might take
Just
work, but at
grind
the
them.
other time, yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Just hustle.
Hustle.
Again, I'm going to sound like a bit of a homer maybe, but we live in the greatest country in the world to be able to achieve that. And
Yeah.
it's never been so close, right at our fingertips, to be able to go earn. I tell that to my boys every day. I'm not, who was it? Jay-Z. I'm a businessman. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
I like
okay.
that.
We all have our own personal brands
Yeah.
that we can go out and achieve and monetize, and the time's never been easier. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. But also investing in your own personal development, personal and professional growth, thinking beyond your salary to the next promotion, the next career, investing in that is important. So, some real life Henry stories, they're everywhere. We just talked about being able to go past your own salary, but if you want to think about some folks that have done this and been able to turn that into a success, I immediately go to, and I've talked about this on the podcast before. I'm a hip hop junkie. I love rap music. I love hip hop. And to me, what's great about it is the music was always set in ambition and in hustling and in going out and getting your piece of the pie and your piece of the world. If you think about someone that is a hip hop artist, their quote unquote salary is what they're earning from making music.
Mm-hmm.
But someone who did this best was Dr. Dre, and took his career from producing music, making music as a rapper, and he did well for himself and took it to the next level when him and Jimmy Iovine created Beats by Dre. And he became the first billionaire of hip hop by selling Beats by Dr. Dre to Apple. And that was his payday. And I'm sure there were other businesses that he was in. But if you watch the 4-part documentary, the Defiant Ones, you see someone approached him about selling shoes or apparel or something. And he goes, listen, I wear the same stuff every day, which, side note, is something that highly ambitious, highly wealthy folks do because, listen, our brain's job is to preserve calories. If we don't have to think about what we're putting on every day, we're preserving calories and, applying that to what makes us earn. So just a little
interesting,
maybe side tip to take from that. He says, listen, I wear the same thing every day. I don't want to sell sneakers. And Jimmy Iovine says, you don't sell sneakers. You sell speakers. Because what's he do every day? He's in music.
Yep.
And put his name on it. And him and Jimmy Iovine took that and made himself the first billionaire in hip hop. And now he's thinking about the philanthropic part. Creates the performing arts school at USC, donates big. The 2 guys that never even went to college have a school named after them at USC.
Yep.
So they were thinking beyond their salary to becoming
I mean, that's someone that probably would have been fine with just his salary of music and didn't have to do anything other than that. But his life has changed again because of those things that he decided to do beyond his salary.
I mean, Dre and Snoop together. Snoop was the darling of the Olympics. The guy was everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay?
He
was just in Pittsburgh for a Steeler game. He was everywhere. And athletes do it too. Look at Peyton Manning and Shaq. Their salary was earning a high salary, but a salary nonetheless, and then invest in Papa John's franchises.
Oh, yeah.
And now, and Emmitt Smith earned a salary as a running back.
Oh, who's it? The one, you just said the one Manning brother. He's on every commercial. I feel like I turn on TV.
Peyton and Eli, both. And now their media, they look beyond the salary. Michael Jordan made less from playing basketball than he has from sneakers.
It's crazy.
Emmitt Smith made less playing football than he made from being a contractor and a business or a property developer.
Wow.
So looking and thinking beyond your salary is important. And again, we've never been in a better place and a better time to do that.
True. Yeah.
But to get there, they had to have some things. They weren't blowing their money. There's been athletes, there's been hip hop folks that have blown their money. MC Hammer comes to mind, and we've all heard the stories of MC Hammer. Bernie Kosar, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. ESPN did their 30 by 30 a while ago and talked about athletes that had gone broke. There's more of them than there are of Dr. Dre and Peyton Manning and Emmitt Smith, but there shouldn't be. There doesn't need to be. And what there needs to be is a mindset change and a discipline around your money, automatic saving, discipline investing, thinking about those unique entrepreneurial opportunities as you progress. Just some things to take away from this. Make sure you're auditing your current spending and saving habits. Set very measurable, SMART goals, measurable goals for 1, 5, 10 years out. Making sure you have the right advisors, and beyond that, the right people around you. If you take a look at MC Hammer or Bernie Kosar, I'm sure they received lousy advice. I'm sure they had folks around them that were viewing them as a source of income rather than as an ally. And making sure you understand that and automate things, automate savings, automate investments, budget. The most powerful phrase I think that you should take from this is, again, and I wish I knew who said it first or there was a quote, but budgeting is a way to tell your money where to go instead of worrying about where it has already gone. That's powerful. That's something to take from this, even if you don't view yourself as a Henry and don't think that giant payday is coming. Budgeting is a way to tell your money where to go. So that's what we have on Henry's. What do you think, Brynn? Was that better than Henry Ford? Was that better than Henry Fonda? Was that better than Henry VIII?
I don't know. I mean, Henry Ford, he helps get me around quite often, so I don't know if it's better than him. And I never knew what Henry was until before today, but now I do, and so now I know what to do if I want to be a Henry.
check out our website. There's all kind of features in our resources tab for budget templates. Reach out to us if you have questions. Again, I'm very active on LinkedIn, but our website is also a very great way to find us. And if you have any questions or any feedback, please let us know.
Yes, and I will also throw in the episodes in the show notes that we talked about. We talked about one that we did with taxes. We talked about one that Will had done with Michelle Walter about budgeting. So we will find those and also throw those in the notes for you guys too. But until next time, make sure you guys keep your wealth moving, and we'll talk to you soon.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Hoffman Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service providers with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.